Welcome back. We're just a day away from the next big debate in the Democratic presidential candidacy. Joining us live to discuss this is Joe Siracusa from RMIT University. Joe, thank you for your time. Now, Michael Bloomberg swept into the race very late in the game compared to the other contenders, but he has a lot of money behind him and it's starting to pay off in the polls.
Well, yes, it is. He's now, I think, number 2 in the national polls, according to the Democratic primary voters. He's a very serious candidate. He is a practical alternative to Bernie Sanders, who sits to the far left of the Democratic Party. And I think he's played his hand very cleverly. I mean, he's putting all of his chips on red. He's coming in a little bit late. I don't even think he's entitled to any votes in Nevada, but he's holding out for Super Tuesday, where hundreds of delegates will be committed. So he's in pretty good shape. And I think he's a serious challenge to President Trump. Here you have a man who is a super capitalist from the city of New York, the mayor, up against a property developer from Queens. They speak the same language. Trump would be very careful to use various words against Bloomberg, because Bloomberg could let him have it really easily, and he knows that. And I think Trump is fairly much afraid of Bloomberg. And you know, if you'd have said to me, we're going to have a mayor of New York and a property developer in the Queens running in 2020, I would have taken money that wasn't going to happen, but it certainly has.
It is just really interesting that we do have, like you say, just 2 candidates that are in so many ways so similar. When we look at the last election, it was really a few key swing states like Wisconsin in the Midwest, and it was a total of 170,000 people changing their vote that helped turn the tide. Are they, either of these candidates, going to be able to appeal to those swinging voters when they're so far off just a moderate government?
Well, I think they're going to have the same problem they had the last time. And for the Democrats, it's really the same problem. It is, if Bernie Sanders does not win the nomination, he's going to say he was robbed, and that will his millennial supporters, he has most of these kids between 18 and 30, young people 18 and 35, and will they go out and support Bloomberg? I don't think so. I mean, the Democratic Party is riven, it is driven apart by these various factions. Mostly on the left, not so much on the right, but in the center, that's where most of your Democrats like to vote. And so, will Bernie's supporters, will they support the person who beats him? The answer, in a word, is no. They don't like anybody running against Bernie, and Bernie's going to argue that the candidacy or the nomination was stolen from him. Now, mind you, if we go into July in Milwaukee, where we have the Democratic convention, if there isn't if no one has a lead with the 1,991 delegates, then the super delegates will be turned loose. And if that doesn't work, we're going to have an open convention. So they could bring in, they could bring in Michelle Obama, they could bring in Mickey Mouse, they could bring in anybody they want, because when an open convention, all the delegates get to vote their conscience, or they get to vote their various likes on the day. So it's a very exciting time. And I'm happy to see Bloomberg come along, because he represents a lot of things that Trump does not. He would be into global climate change tomorrow. In fact, he has supported it when he was mayor and outside of office anyway. And he would bring down that damn wall on the Mexican border wall. He would get rid of the pressure on sanctuary cities. He would back off the Department of Justice. In short, and then he would renegotiate the Iran nuclear deal, because he knows that was the right one. I mean, he's about the center of the party. And the old order is looking for him to come to the rescue. The thing is this, though. He's 78 years old. He'll be 79 years old soon. Is he too old? So I think the important thing for Bloomberg, who does he choose as a running mate? Well, if he's a really smart guy, he's going to choose someone who's not quite like him. I think he should choose probably a woman who will pick up some of the people that his normal supporters might not support. And same thing with Bernie. Bernie's 78 years old. I mean, you got 2 guys who are 78 years old running up against a 73-year-old guy, and Trump's going to come back hard with Mike Pence. And so we know we got all these people in their 70s who are running for president. It must strike Australians as very odd. I mean, that's why Pete Buttigieg's doing very well. At 38, he looks like a child. Looks like a breath of fresh air. And of course he isn't. He's a hardened veteran of other things.
It has been pointed out to me that Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, as well as Elizabeth Warren, are all older than Paul Keating, which just shows we might be a little bit ageist in Australia. But Joe Siracusa, we are going to have to leave it there. Thank you for your time, and we will be doing plenty of coverage on what's happening in the Democratic primaries.